Hey, thanks for checking out Nuts and Bolts with Tone, and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to start off with a Lexus IS250. Has a leaking water pump and also the front bearing has failed. Let's check it out. So you can see the coolant all over here. And here's the bearing. I could wiggle this with the belt on by hand. So we're going to get started. I'm going to show you how to do this. So step one is going to be take off the undercover. Second step's going to be open the petcock, and while you're here, go ahead and take the belt off. Tensioner there. Let me get it drop down. Okay, about to get started here. So this is what your water pump looks like. Looks like this. It's pretty big. The housing hooks in there. I'll show you how to do all of this. There's the housing right there. That bolts to here, and then the thermostat housing is right there. We're not going to take that off. Customer didn't want the thermostat. So step one, let's take off this plastic cover. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to go ahead and just pop this airbox off. This bolts in here. Let's get this out of the way. And then we're going to pull out the coolant bottle, disconnect the upper hose. Okay, coolant bottle just has 2 10s and a clip. This is clipped on to it. You got to disconnect that. We're going to take out this plastic cover. There's a couple little plastic nuts right here and here. Take this upper hose off. Just get it out of the way completely. Let's get this plastic cover off. We're going to disconnect the lower hose. And we're going to be unbolting the GDI fuel injector module right there. We're just going to unbolt the whole thing. To get this plastic cover off, you got 3 plastic nuts here. This wiring harness clips in right there. You got to pop that out. There's 3 nuts in this harness here. Right here, go ahead and disconnect this VVT solenoid so you don't pull it. The wire is kind of tight. You're just going to lift this up so it clears this plastic cover. Plastic cover is going to come off. We're going to disconnect that hose as well. Lower hose is off. Time to get the injector module off. There's also a little plastic clip here. You take this off and these 2 nuts over here, and the plastic piece comes off from behind here. Then disconnect all your connectors on the module. Be careful. This is a really important module. And then you're going to go ahead and just take this out. There's a bolt, a nut, and a nut. And now we've exposed this whole side of the wire of the water pump. So I got to get that hose off right there. And then we're going to unbolt this housing. Next up, we're going to go ahead and take this tensioner off and this idler and tensioner off. This is the idler, this is the tensioner. We're going to go ahead and take those off. And then we're going to zap this pulley off. It's best if you take this off while the belt's on because it's kind of hard to get off unless you have something strong that can zap it. So I'm going to get that off. And we've got this hose disconnected. Now we need to disconnect that hose right there. And I believe we're going to try to snake this out. The procedure tells you to take the compressor off, disconnect the AC lines. We're going to try not to do all that. And we don't want to disturb any hoses we don't have to. So I marked these hoses just in case, but I'm really thinking I can pull this out. There's an O-ring in the pipe right there. So I'm really thinking that we can pull this out and flip it up and then access the water pump, reseal it, and then put it back. Let's try it and see. All right, you got a bolt here. You got a bolt right there. You got a bolt there. A bolt underneath. And then there's a hidden bolt right in there. Where my finger is, right in there. Kind of hard to get to. You got to get it with a wrench. So I'm taking that one out now. And then we're going to zap this off, and hopefully this is going to pull out and flip up. Okay, right directly under here, there's a hidden nut. So that stud right there, there's a nut on that, and that holds it on too. So if you've got everything out of this thing and it doesn't move like this, something's still connected. So let's see if we can. I'm not going to try this one-handed, but let me pop it out and I'll let you. Let's see. All right, you got a bolt here. You got a bolt right there. You got a bolt there. A bolt underneath, and then there's a hidden bolt right in there. Where my finger is, right in there. Kind of hard to get to. You got to get it with a wrench. So I'm taking that one out now. And then we're going to zap this off, and hopefully this is going to pull out and flip up. Okay, right directly under here, there's a hidden nut. So that stud right there, there's a nut on that, and that holds it on too. So if you've got everything out of this thing and it doesn't move like this, something's still connected. So let's see if we can, I'm not gonna try this one-handed, but let me pop it out and I'll let you, let's see. So it pops off, just be careful because this pipe here is connected on the other end. You don't want it to pop out. So this hose here is pretty long, the one on the passenger side. So I'm gonna take this one off and I'm gonna see if we can't get enough slack to bungee it out of the way so I have room to work, because I don't feel like fighting this thing. All right, so with this hose disconnected, I had plenty of slack. I just took the hose out of this clip here, dropped it down, pulled it as much as I could, flip this up, just put a bungee on it. So now we're just gonna go around to this hose here, just leave this one here. And I haven't taken off the tensioner on the idler yet, or the pulley here, but it looks like we're gonna be able to get this water pump out without taking everything off. All right, so I think this is why they want you to take the compressor off and everything, is the tensioner. So you don't need to take the tensioner off, you just need to unbolt the pulley. If you turn it clockwise, if you tighten it basically, it loosens up and it'll come off. And look at that, now it's not in the way of the water pump. So now we can zap this water pump off without a whole lot of extra work. And I'll show you how we're gonna keep track of all those bolts. Pretty straightforward from here. Just gonna take all these bolts out. What I like to do is leave one bolt in, loosen it up, and pop the water pump so you can see the water pump is loose. Now there's two different size bolts in this. An easy way to keep track of this is this. You got a bolster mat here. Now they have 3 different bolster mats. If you go to my link tree, I have a link. If you buy all 3, you get a discount. Just use my code. It's in my link tree. So anyway, so you just put all the bolts on here in order. And I got one more bolt that's gonna go there. And then that way there's no confusion. These are the bottom 2. These are the far left, far right, or vice versa, whether you're sitting in the car. Anyways, I'm gonna put the next bolt here, pop this off, get this all cleaned up. Let me see if I can get this out with you on the phone. Recording it, I mean. Okay. So, if you get a good one, you'll have a good gasket. Should have a good metal gasket. There's the gasket. You're going to take that out. There's that hose. Just it's in the way, but you know we don't have to mess with it. Try to see this water pump. It's gonna be hard to. Here we go. Front bearing's bad. So you're gonna have a seal here. You got the gasket there. You're gonna have an O-ring here. There's that seal on the outside. And then if you were doing a thermostat, you'll have that there. You get a good water pump kit. All right, this is an ASIN right there. That's what you want. ASIN is the best for Toyota. So I got all my seals here. The ASIN pump comes with everything. So that's what you want right there. I need to do this on my 2012 Sienna actually. It's just a little bit harder than this. So anyway, so now we don't need the O-ring kit. We don't need an evac and recharge. So let's get this cleaned up and I'll show you the torque specs. So here's the torque procedure right here. So basically A and C are these 12 millimeter bolts. All right. So A and C are 15 foot-pounds. The 10 millimeters, which are 81 inch-pounds, those are, I'm sorry, B is the 10 millimeters and 10 millis, and they're 81 inch-pounds. So those are all B. So the thing is, C and C, you need to clean it up and put silicone on it when you reassemble it, or use new bolts. That's the only trick to this whole thing. So anywhere that there's a 10 milli, it's 81 inch-pounds. Anywhere that there's a 12 milli, it's 15 foot-pounds or 180 inch-pounds, depending on what kind of torque wrench you have. All right, there you go. You can pause it right there. All right, I misread it. So basically, C is not a 12 millimeter bolt. C is just a position. So the third one over on the bottom, which is here, And the third one over on the top, which is here, they are 10 millimeter bolts. Those, you need to use silicone or replace the bolts. They are not 12 millimeters. So if this is the first time the water pump has been off, all these bolts are going to have silicone all over the threads, especially the big ones. So you want to take them over to a grinder with a wheel and brush all those off. And then obviously these third ones over, you want to clean out the threads because we're going to be putting silicone. Before you put your water pump on, you want to make sure you put this O-ring on and just put a little bit of Sil-Glide, silicone grease, whatever, just to lube it up. Don't use silicone. That way it slides on and it doesn't leak. You don't have to lube up this O-ring until after we get the water pump on. Brain fart, this one doesn't go through the water pump. But for that bolt C, this is what I'm going to use right here, thread sealant, just for those two number C bolts over here on this side. So the water inlet that goes here is 84 inch-pounds. So don't forget, you got a bolt. You're going to have a bolt here. You're going to have bolts down here. You got to have this seal in here and this one lubed up. Make sure this is all cleaned up. And this is all cleaned up. We're just gonna flip this back down, set it on, torque it to 84 inch-pounds, and then or maybe now go ahead and put your water pump pulley on and put your tensioner and your idler on just now while everything's out of the way. It doesn't matter, you just have to get it back on, however you're gonna do it. And while these pulleys are off, now is a good time to clean them up. Both of my pulleys had a bunch of rubber on there. So I got it most of the way cleaned up. Got to finish cleaning it up before you put it on. Easier to do it now. So pretty much just reverse order of putting it back together. But one thing I strongly recommend is that you use a vacuum refiller. This is an airlift. I have this in my Amazon store. Definitely recommend an air refiller of some sort. I like the airlift. I like it that the refilling and the vacuuming is not all in the same hose. It's not all super bulky. So just my personal preference. Plus I've had this for over 10 years, 12 years maybe. So I know it's reliable. Just for that, it's probably gonna break. But anyways, let's get some coolant in this thing and get it running. When you're doing your drive belt, one little tip is you rotate the tensioner all the way counterclockwise. And you have this hole right here. You can use a drill bit, a punch. If you've ever done tensioners that come with these metal pins, you put this metal pin in there and then it rides in that hole there. Or actually, yeah, it goes in that hole and it keeps it untensioned. You can put the belt on and then you just move the tensioner a little bit, pull the pin, and then you're good to go. So a little tip on the tensioner there. Cars that have that are nice. So we're all done here. Just got to get her cleaned off and running. So that's how you replace the water pump in a Lexus 2.5 engine. It's not super hard. It's actually very similar to the 3.5 liter engine. So thanks for watching. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.